All right, so I'm going to be meeting up with Dan. I've known Dan actually for probably over 10 years now. We've actually worked on a project together when he was working for a startup, I believe, where my company built some of the software for that company. He was not an SEO back then, and since then he's been doing a lot of SEO, working for major enterprises. So I'm looking forward to talking to him and discussing different things about where he's been, what he's been doing, and some pretty cool topics on algorithm update, talking about some of the latest thing Google announced recently, back in, I guess, October time or late October. And then also talking about enterprise SEO, how that has evolved and how hiring SEOs have evolved over the years as well. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy it. Dan, thanks for coming out to my area over here. You're not far from here, or you are?
Based in Manhattan, but
Okay.
I'm up here for the weekend, so
Awesome.
right in my neighborhood.
It's a good place to be for the weekend, I think.
Yeah, right in the middle of peak foliage.
Yes. You could tell by all the, I'll do a time lapse of the trees not doing anything so you can see that. I didn't bring my drone today, so. But you've seen this area before, and you haven't seen Dan, but I've known Dan for over 10 years probably now.
Yeah.
Could you please look into that camera there and say people who you are and where you work?
Sure. I'm Dan Toplitt. I lead the US SEO practice at Reprise Digital, which is a performance marketing agency within the broader IPG holding company network. I'm originally from Massachusetts, but I'm a Yankees fan, so found my way to the New York area.
So we go way back before you even knew anything about SEO. Maybe you knew something about SEO, but you weren't an SEO per se, right?
Didn't know what it was called.
So, and that's back when you were in Bethesda?
That's right. I was living in Washington, D.C., working out of Bethesda, Maryland.
And you worked on in the, what I think was called the affiliate space in selling online educations.
Yeah, and migrated to the scholarship world, giving away money for free, which is not the best for-profit business model, but valiant work nonetheless.
Cool. And so you learned, where do you first learn about, I guess, SEO? What was that?
Yeah, so one of the programs that our startup ran was a scholarship program, and Rusty Brick built the website for us. And so in talking to some of the developers on your team and a few of the folks internally about some of our marketing channels, learned about the power of getting free clicks as opposed to paying for them.
All right, so then you met, obviously, Rusty Brick and our team, and you became an SEO guru in a matter of 5 seconds. No,
As one does with your team.
As one does, yeah. No, we don't really do SEO, but we build sites and software. So, but and you were with this company for how many years about?
About 4 years until the investments ran out, and then moved up to Manhattan. Started in the performance marketing world.
Okay, and any companies you want to talk about there that you?
Sure. So I've kept it easy on myself by moving from one RM to another RM. So I started at Resolution Media, which is part of the Omnicom group, and worked there for about 4 years, honing my SEO craft. And after about 4 years there, moved on to Reprise Media. We now just kind of go by Reprise, which has been quite a journey from a small floor and the 9th floor of our building down to the 3rd floor of our building, and obviously now spread across the world. So it's been an interesting journey for sure.
All right, so then those two names, those two companies are very, very popular. They're very well known. I'm trying to think about who else I know in those companies. Who are the big names in those companies?
Oh, well, hopefully Dan Toplitt's a big name. But so we've got the heads of SEO at those companies. Dave McAnally was the Resolution Media lead out in Chicago, and Dave and I have kept a very strong relationship. He's a really, really great guy, interesting dude. And over at Reprise, we've got Adam Edwards, who is now our global head of SEO, the first global head of SEO that Reprise has ever had. And he's really helped push the envelope on some of our ROI-driven SEO thinking that we do, which is important in our world, being from an enterprise lens. You often have a lot more channels and big media budgets that our clients are coming to us with, and SEO takes a unique form in the enterprise world, I've found.
Cool. And what do you prefer better? Doing the startup world SEO type of stuff, or being in a larger agency?
Yeah, there are benefits of both. I've actually found a nice hybrid where our SEO group within Reprise operates a little bit like its own startup. So we actually have a program this year where it's a bit of a Shark Tank type program where we're incubating ideas and having our team matrixed out, pitching startup ideas to our senior leadership for how to improve our SEO program. So we do little things like that, but the benefits of enterprise SEO, of being able to take all of these resources that our clients are putting into media and see the scale of the impact we can have with some of our recommendations, is rewarding for sure.
Awesome. And you didn't always have a beard.
I didn't.
Is this a COVID beard, or it's been a beard before COVID?
This came from, they literally talk about mountain men with their beards. This came from being a mountain man. I hiked the Inca Trail in 2016 on my way to Machu Picchu, and came back with a beard, realized I'd probably have to trim it or shave it if I wanted to look, professional in the professional world. Decided to trim it since, quarantine. You lose a little bit of that need for the professional world. So I had, there's actually a webinar, there's evidence on the internet now of my mountain man beard, the bushiest it's ever been, but I've gone back a little bit to the more trimmed look.
Looks good. There's a bunch of trails here, I think, not far. I don't know if you ever...
Yeah, I actually was walking down the river yesterday. Very nice trail down there.
Cool. Awesome. So you could definitely go hiking after, although it's kind of gloomy today, so...
Yeah.
But it's nice weather for hiking, right? This is like perfect.
Perfect, yeah. Not too hot, not too cold.
Right. This is right before it's gonna get cold, right? It was freezing like one day, but I don't know. This video won't be out for a couple months probably. Thankfully, I have a lot of these queued up, and it looks like, sadly, this like second wave is like coming, so I might have to lock down again.
Well, so we'll be watching this one on repeat, reminiscing about the good times and the good weather.
Every single Monday, just repeat this one over and over and over again. Because we got some good topics, right?
Oh, yeah.
The first topic I think you want to talk about are all the Google algorithm changes and why they are meaningless. Not why they're meaningless, but I think, tell me your spin on it. So please, I'll you take the floor.
Sure. Yeah. So interestingly, in the enterprise world, we don't follow, say, the algorithm with the same sort of forecast, I think, of some of the the Mazes and obviously a lot of the work that you do. Not that I'm not reading your articles every day, Barry, but we tend to advise our clients on kind of Google's got a consistent policy, provide useful information and do it in a way that's accessible. And the nuances of algorithm tweaks are interesting to monitor, but we don't always, read up every single time and make sure we're delivering, specific recommendations for each algorithm tweak. Recently, however, Google has taken some really interesting positions on what they're prioritizing in their algorithm tweaks. So they've made all these changes to Google My Business and Google Shopping, and starting to merge the two a bit as well. And that's very interesting to us, where we have a lot of clients who are in the CPG space or in the retail space that are constantly asking us from an e-com lens how to think about omnichannel. And this behavior of now shopping locally and Google's reaction to that behavior is incredibly interesting for us SEOs. Obviously, Google Shopping moving to organic listings was a massive change in their battle against Amazon, how much Amazon's been siphoning away some of their and then all of the changes with Google My Business, with COVID, of course, being a major driver of the reasoning behind that. You're now interacting with the outside world through your phone to make sure, if I go outside today, which is sort of a sad thought, but if I go outside today, I know that, the place I'm going is COVID safe, or I know that it's not very busy right now, or, I know that I can order something now and then go pick it up curbside and then bring it home. And those types of details about a business are incredibly important as people are online making purchase decisions. Can I wait 2 days for this to be shipped to me, or is this something I need now? And then how do I go get it? And how do I confirm the way that I'm going to get it before I actually go and try to get it?
Right. And we were talking before we started this, the announcement from the Search on 2020, which for context, it was Thursday, but we're recording, again, this is going to be weeks or months away from when we actually produce this. They talked about that COVID-related adjustments to wait times for local venues, which is interesting because earlier last week, I actually posted that the wait times are completely inaccurate for restaurants. It seems like there are long lines at restaurants when there's nobody in these restaurants. And I'm wondering if it's a bug related to what Google's trying to push out, or if Google's like, wait, this new change is going to make this thing better, because maybe they're using historical data from years ago but even the live results, you don't have like a live posting thing. Even the live indicators are showing crazy wait times at restaurants that are completely empty. So I don't know if you have any insight in that, but it will be interesting to see when they roll out. I don't know if it's not rolled out yet, but when they roll out this new COVID stuff, by the time this video's out, if those live wait times and those popular times are all adjusted.
Yeah, it's really interesting when they make these changes. You see a little bit of wonkiness in the algorithm as it sorts itself out and they test and debug. I was also looking at the video announcement they made around being able to parse out videos automatically and surface, just specific sections about it. And I conducted a handful of searches this morning and noticed almost every single one of them had video results at the top. So it seems like they're testing certain things out that they're announcing to see, okay, is this working exactly how we thought it was going to work?
Right. They officially launched it about a year ago, called Key Moments.
Yep.
They're actually been testing that a lot in terms of user interfaces. They're actually testing now transcriptions to show the transcriptions. But I think now they said they're going to launch that in about 10% of all queries, which is massive if you think about it.
I think it's a very unique insight too, right? Into how many queries their result, the SERPs are looking blended now with all these videos.
Was it 10% of queries or 10% of all video related queries?
I think they said 10% of all queries.
That's a big number. So, and the tricks with that is basically just timestamp your videos on YouTube. So, but it's just amazing. They announced a lot of things. And one of the things that, I don't know if I've been like writing about a lot in the past couple of days is this passage indexing, they're calling it. And the problem is they call the passage indexing when it's really passage ranking, because they're not just indexing a passage, they're indexing the whole page, and everybody's like, oh, look at this. Now Google's saying they index just this piece of the content and not all the content. And I don't know if that makes a difference practically. I mean, I'm sure you guys at massive, SEO companies are not like, oh, nitpicking on this and that. It's just about building the best possible type of website for your clients. But for me, it's like all these years, Google's indexed the full page, never like not indexed the full page. And they're like, no, we still index the full page. We just called that for maybe marketing purposes, but it's really where we're able to zone in on a specific passage within the content, which makes, if you think about it, a lot of large SEO firms have been doing this for years, since, I guess, Panda, maybe past Panda, these core updates, I guess, and YMYL and EAT, making really long articles that cover really broad topics. And then Google's be like, all right, if you want a really broad topic, but you want to zone into one of the areas of that topic, Google's not able to surface that information. And that's what they mean by indexing, even though they should probably call it ranking or something else.
Yeah, well, one ancillary benefit of all this is, this is now a little while back, they've been testing the featured snippet link down into the highlighted section of the page. You can kind of custom hack that to create your own anchored links to send to people when you're sending out content, if you're looking at the query string at the end of the URL. So that's been sort of a neat little trick that they afforded you. But yeah, it is interesting with the long articles that you talk about. Used to, think about how we need to split out content into separate pages and the directory, subdirectory relationships. And, that article sort of swayed back and forth over time. And, it really is becoming, you just need to have the right information and Google will find it. Sometimes they're more reliable in what they say versus how they actually surface things, but that's obviously just testing and looking at the results.
And that's another massive change. That's going to affect about 7% of all queries. So I think by the time this video is out, it might be released. It's not out live. It's not live yet, this feature. It will be interesting to see, because I guess Google's saying, hey, there's a lot of great content that we're not surfacing in these really massive articles that we should really probably be surfacing. And 7% is a big number. So it will be interesting to see how much of a shift this makes in, I guess, the rankings, but also in terms of SEO strategy going forward.
I find it also very interesting, some of the inherent contradiction, and it's not, necessarily their fault, but in some of the advice that they give, because you have this where it's, hey, we can just find your content wherever and pluck it out of a long page. But then they're also making these announcements around Web Vitals and the importance of, user experience and how that's going to factor in 2021, in the algorithm. Is the really long scrolling page with tons of information the best experience for a user? Is it going to load really quickly? I don't know. So it's sort of an interesting juxtaposition to find yourself in if you're trying to guide clients on how to build out your website and structure your content appropriately.
Right. It used to be, and with me, the way I write is always about little nuggets. My readers really don't want to spend time reading a 100-page document on feature snippets. They don't want to. They want to be like, what's the latest thing on feature snippets? What is it? And move on. So And I find most readers want that, but I guess that's what Google's doing with these feature snippets. They want you to write the long article. They want to just show the snippets to the people. And this is not feature snippets. These passage indexing is not really going to be, it's going to be somewhat feature snippet related. But you're right in terms of the anchor and fragments down. So the target, I think they call it target fragments or fragment targets or something like that. It's a new feature in Chrome and modern browsers. You're now able to stylize it. So if somebody clicks on it, they could be anchored down to the specific page, and instead of being yellow, it could be like green or blue or whatever. So it looks like they are emphasizing a lot more information around that. And I assume the passage indexing, which hopefully they'll be calling it passage ranking or something else in the future, will take advantage of that anchor down feature. And like you said, you can always do that yourself in emails and stuff like that. You can always use plain anchors. You can always use HTML anchors going forward. What else do you have on rankings? Anything else in that topic, or should we move on to the next?
Let's go. Let's keep going.